Yeah. It's another classic episode of the Miller Experience. I'm here with your guest at this caliber. I've got two special guests today, guys. Before I introduce my guests, I want to thank you guys for liking and subscribing to the channel. We're currently at 1,104 subscribers. So keep smashing that subscribe button, keep smashing that share button, keep smashing that like button. And y'all know with the comments, man, it's all love here, man. Nice or wrong. It doesn't matter. We all love here, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we got two special guests from the Man in Times. We have Miss Leigh Maynard and Melissa McCoy. Leigh, she's been a publisher for the Man in Times for the past 15 years. She also served as many other roles in the Clarendon County community, from co-chair of the Habitat of Humanity to her current role as president-elect of the Manor Rotary. Go ahead, Leigh. She's originally from Greeleyville and moved to Manning in her early 20s. She's a mother with two beautiful daughters. Miss Melissa McCoy. She's managing editor at the Manning Times. She's also the upcoming sergeant in arms for the Manning Rotary. Go ahead, Melissa. Melissa originally from D.C. and is a military brat, so she has lived all over. She also has lived in Manning for 2 years, but this is her second time living here. She's a mother of four. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Manning Times own Leigh and Melissa McCoy. How y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
You're doing good. Hey, let me ask you this, Melissa. What branch was your mom and dad in the military?
It was primarily my mother. She was in the United States Air Force. She retired in 2005, and then she was a contractor. She's in Louisiana now. Okay, I'm a military brat too. My dad was in the Army. I was born right there in Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Okay, nice. So, I spent my time in Hampton, Virginia, and Langley.
Okay, dope. All right, so ladies, before we get started with the interview, tell the people, I gave them a little brief summary of you guys, but tell the people something more about yourselves. Let's start with Leigh.
I didn't think you covered it.
You covered it.
She mentioned her daughters. Bailey just graduated from USC Sumter.
She's a nurse.
Yes.
With her BSN, and Riley is an upcoming senior at Lawrence Manning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Melissa, how about you? Anything I missed out on?
No, you pretty much got it. I have 4 children, and that's about it. I've been in and out of Clarendon County for about 15 years. We originally moved here in 2009. We were here for a few years and up and down the East Coast. So
Melissa's lived everywhere.
Yes.
That's that military lifestyle.
Yes, that's right. And then my ex-husband also had a very similar, he wasn't in the military, but it was a very similar position where we moved around a lot. So
okay.
I came back in Manning in end of 2022, and I've been back at the Times for over a year and a half now. So
very dope.
Yes.
Leigh, let's start with you, okay? As a publisher at the Man in Times, what's your role? What's different from being an editor?
I primarily oversee everything. From our budgets to our ads. Melissa writes literally everything. The entire paper. We have a news site, manninglab.com. There's no paywall at all, so you can log on. Anybody can log on and read all of our stories. Our e-edition is up there. But Melissa is just incredible when it comes to covering everything, because we're a small staff. She manages to make 90% of the meetings here in the county, fundraisers, events. She's at all of it, and she writes it all completely by herself. It's really amazing.
When you talk about being a publisher, I kind of liken it to a general manager. We're small, as she said, we're small staff. There's 6 of us, all women. And so we have an office manager who just graduated from J school. So she does help me as well. Her name's Alex Fagan. We have a graphics designer. She helps me with editing as well. That's Catherine Hutchinson. And then we have 2 sales staff, Sarah Duck and Leanne McManus. And so we're a really tight-knit group. Again, all women. We're really proud of having an all-female staff. And then Leanne literally helps with all of that. And before I came along, Leanne was writing a lot too. Leanne's got a couple press awards for her writing as well. So she's very good about pushing us all in the spotlight, but she holds it down. She does
that.
She's definitely she leads us all really well, so it's nice.
Well, Melissa, let me ask you this: what made you want to become an editor?
Well, it's interesting. I just kind of had I love telling this story. I just always had a little bit of a talent for when I came to Manning, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I befriended Leanne because we both were in the same running group, and we started training for a half marathon together.
Wow.
And we became friends on Facebook, and I always kind of shared my family's anecdotes on Facebook. Was my two oldest at the time, and I would just tell stories, really kind of humorous, parenting, just kind of putting a humorous. I used to joke about being the world's okayest mom because I was always late to things. I was, but it was just kind of normalizing being a mother without being a perfect mom. She enjoyed those stories, so she asked me to start a column, and then I started working part-time in the office and things like that. So that was just about, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago.
At the time, I had many people will remember Robert Bobby Baker. Was that?
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, R.I.P. I remember him. Look at.
So Bobby was my mentor, and so Bobby liked my column as well. And then he kind of took me under his wing and started having me write other things. He wrote a whole guide for our office that I still use, the style guide for our office, with just kind of rules about interviewing people. A history of the county is in this guide. Bobby's legacy really lives on in this office, and so I'm so proud to be like, yeah, I worked for Bobby. So that was really a wonderful connection. And then I came back just kind of part-time again, and there was just needed to be a role for a full-time writer, and then just kind of that just blossomed into the editing as well.
But I think that was always your goal. Even when you were here the first time, you wanted, you have a love of writing.
I do. I always wanted to be a full-time writer. I didn't think that I would be editing it. We used to go around with the previous editors that I strung for, that I was not the person for that job, that I was not organized for it. We're obviously a very deadline-driven organization, and that's not my biggest forte is a deadline.
That's where I come in.
Yeah, and Leanne's like, the paper.
That's where Leanne come in, right? That's where she come in, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah. So it wasn't ever a goal, but I love it. I'm so happy that I've been able to. That Leanne and everybody kind of took me in, and we're all self-taught. Leanne didn't grow up in the newspaper industry. I didn't, you know what I mean? So it's to do as well as we have done with literally just watching other people, having Bobby, having things like that. I'm very proud of our team. So
yes, I am too.
That was going to be my next question for you. You guys are always passionate about journalism, but sound like you guys just pretty much fell into it and just fell in love with it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
And we love, the whole staff, just everyone here loves what they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
so walk us through it, right? Walk us through it from a perspective of a publisher and editor. Tell us a typical day at the Manning Times.
Just chaos.
It's funny. It can. I can just do yesterday. Yesterday ended up being a really busy day, and I didn't think it would be. And then also because,
Monday is paper day, deadline day. So Monday is normally the same. All of us are here early. The sales girls get their sheets, who they're going to see, for the ads and stuff. But Alex, our office manager, Catherine, graphics, Melissa, and I are always in here all day Monday. Just last minute stories, whatever. If anything happened over the weekend, Melissa's in here writing about it so that we can put the paper together and get it out. So Mondays are normally just the same.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say Mondays are pretty standard day. You can just find me in this room with my headphones on, begging nobody to bother me because I'm just
we
trying.
Just put a sign on the door. Please do not speak to Melissa until Tuesday.
Because I will just stop what I'm doing and chat with you. So so I put my headphones on. That's pretty much it. That's how a typical Monday goes. Each week is different. There's 1 week a month that I call the meeting week. Like that's next week where county council meets on Monday night, and then Tuesday night, Turbyville, Manning, and Somerton, they all have their town meetings. And so that paper is always just jam-packed of town news, what the town government news, things like that. But because we're weekly and because we're small, we cover everything. And so like this week, the cover is the prayer breakfast. But then the other thing is Rebecca Battle Bryant got appointed to some things. Bird Fest was last weekend. Cody Simpson got appointed to some things. So it's always such a variety of news that we're covering. So yeah, yesterday I was at Early Childhood Center with their garden. I was at the law enforcement luncheon.
Were you there?
Yeah, were you at the law enforcement luncheon at F.E. DuBose yesterday?
I was going to go, but I had a flat tire, so I was at Irvin's getting new tire put on. I was it was at 12:30 yesterday, right?
Yes.
At 12:15, I was at Irvin's getting new tire put on my patrol car. I got a flat tire on 95.
Oh man, yeah. It's so funny you mentioned Irvin because then at the end of the day, I was with Irvin at they had a public hearing for the city of Manning because they're replacing all their clay pipes, 107-year-old clay pipes, and that's going to be a strong project that they're doing. I'm writing about that next week.
Wow. That's going to be my next question for you, Melissa. As an editor, how do you decide what story makes the front of the page?
That's a good question. What's funny about that is one of Leanne's favorite sayings. It sounds crude, but it is something that's industry wide. If it bleeds, it leads. So basically, police and crime is going to be our number one thing. I posted a story yesterday about a woman who led the police on a 4-county chase. It was just road rage, basically. But that kind of thing, especially when people aren't injured and it gets kind of silly, like that lady, it's kind of nuts. I like putting those kind of stories up because one, they're going to, two, everybody can kind of look at it and be like, dang, like this is bananas. It's a story that there's no, it's not high stakes where it's like somebody in the county got hurt or a police officer got hurt. So that kind of police and crime story where it gets a little silly, that's our crime blotter. Sometimes we have that in our paper as well, and they can be a little bit sillier crime stories. But yeah, it really depends each week on what the event is. Most things, again, because we are weekly, they get in the paper. Like I'm always telling people, please email me, tell me when you have an event, tell me, if anything, let me know, and either I'll put it on the website for people to come, or I'll be there and we'll tell the story of why you're doing this, what your charity is doing, anything like that. We're always trying to we want more content all the time.
We rely a lot on like the public, like, because we are such a small staff. We ask the coaches of the schools, send us the sports stuff, because obviously we can't be at every game for every school. I think we have like 5 high schools in Clarendon County. So we do rely on people. Let us know what's going on. Help us. Let us tell your story. Just email, call us. Just let us know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And those are my favorite stories to write. I mean, last year we ended up writing a lot of political stories. We got an honorable mention for our political coverage from the Press Association. But I was excited when the election season was over. Like you get burnt out on that kind of thing. And I'm ready to just talk about bake sales and festivals and the good stories.
Mm-hmm.
So
the good.
Yeah.
Y'all both know in this industry, even in the podcast, man, it's 3 things that sells, right? Crime, sex, and scandal.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. It get a little mentally draining on us. So
Yeah.
Yes, please tell me about the farmers market.
That was good stuff. Yeah.
So
Well, let me ask you this, Leanne, as the publisher, in this digital age that we're in, how are you able to generate revenue for your newspaper due to the fact that everybody's on their internet, on social media, getting these? We're going to get into fake news later on, but it's fake news.
This is normally my response when people ask me, isn't the newspaper dying? Aren't they dying?
Mm-hmm.
They're actually not. Small town newspapers are doing very well. At the end of the day, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa are going to want to see that baby's name in the local hometown newspaper with, for the honor roll or for hitting the home run out at J.C. Britton Park. So, but again, we have a wonderful, wonderful website because of Catherine and Melissa and Alex Manning Lab, and I do feel very strongly. I'm very much against paywalls on websites. I think everyone should, if she has to post, there's a tornado on Main Street, seek shelter. Everyone deserves to know that information, not just people who paid $9.99 a month to go to Manning Lab.
Yeah.
So we do have a large digital presence.
And also it's unique for Clarendon County as well as we do have our website and our Facebook numbers are growing every day. We're so proud of the work that we put into the website. We're constantly updating it. We're constantly putting any news that we can on it. But in even our physical paper, because it's a retirement community. I mean, Clarendon County has an aging population, and that's to our advantage because I'm 40, but I still love a physical newspaper. And I feel like anybody above that age bracket, like everybody likes getting that newspaper in their hands. And as a reader, I like a physical paper.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Melissa and I are actually the oldest on staff. We have a very young staff. The rest of the girls in their 20s. Babies working at paper, but that's their passion in their 20s, which is very interesting.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And they're all local too. Our graphic designer, she's from New Zion. Alex is Lake City. Like, they've all grown up in this area as well, and so that means a lot to us also because I believe that when she talks about local news, it's we live here. We want to cover these things because we love Clarendon County. We love Manning so much. These are our friends and neighbors that we want to put in the newspaper so everybody can see it, and then they can share it on their Facebook, and they can come in. Like, we love it. One of my favorite things in the world is when somebody comes in and gets extra copies because they were in the paper that week. And just like, yeah, here, take all my papers. That's we're very proud of that fact. And so them being younger and still living in this community and working in this community, like that's what we love to see is people who are hometown proud like that. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate that they're on our staff.
In this age that we're in now, right? And let's be honest, let's keep it 100. Reading isn't fundamental like it used to be. Everybody when they go on social media, they just read the headlines. Y'all remember back in the day, we used to go to the grocery store and you go to the checkout, you go to the cashier, and they always got paper right there. Ladies gives birth to pig. You remember something like that?
Yes.
People will read that and go along with it. They don't read the article. It's just they read the headlines. Yes. In this day and age, how can we spot fake news?
That's a good question. I'm glad you've asked that. I recently, as you mentioned before at the beginning, both Leanne and I are members of the Manning Rotary Club, and I was able to present on this recently. And when I presented, I explained to everybody there, it's my older children. One is almost 20, one is 16. They'll come to me and they'll be like, again, woman. Yeah. Pig, and I'll be like, bro, where did you find that? And then there's TikTok, and I'm like, okay, well, now I need you to Google it somewhere else, And then if you can find another source, I need to know what that source is. At the time, I always told them like .edu, .gov websites. There's one thing that I always tell people to go to is there's an Ad Fontes media chart. It's a nonpartisan group that will tell you like the New York Times leans a little liberal, Fox News leans a little conservative, and things like that. So this media chart tells you exactly what your favorite news organization lands on the bias scale. And so for me, that's, one of my go-tos is NPR or the British Broadcasting Channel. And so that's what I would always tell my children to go do. You always need to check your source. And you're right, that does not get done very often. And then when you're talking about Facebook and you just see that woman gives birth to pig, that's your algorithm. You've clicked on other pig stories. Your algorithm is feeding you what it thinks you want to read. And so all you do is already confirming your bias. So my first advice on that is to read past the headline and to actually, yes, it's clickbait, but you should click that article and you should see if it's fakenews.com or if it's npr.com. You should see exactly where that headline is coming from. And then a lot of other things that people don't do, check the date. A lot of times, especially with
we had this happen one time.
Yeah. I mean, we have it happen a lot, like, especially with natural disasters. It'll be like a Red Cross story that'll pop up like a week after a natural disaster, like, baby that found a baby in the rubble or something. Well, that picture is actually from like a 2016 earthquake.
Yeah.
Things like that. Really got to checking the date is really important as well. Emotional language, if the headline's in all capitals, if the headline's like, you wouldn't believe, well, you probably won't believe it because that is misleading. And then just kind of, again, verifying the videos, verifying the images, making sure, that you're really just digging it just a touch deeper, really just going past that headline and just really just verifying where you got, we all have our favorite news sources. Like I said, I try to get mine in the middle, but if you are conservative, if you are liberal, you want news that's geared towards you. And I understand that. But if you're going to use that news to create a convincing argument later in your personal life, in your business life, then you might want to double check the other side of it. And that's all I would encourage people to do, is really gather all your information and check your sources.
So that's pretty much how we, as a consumer, that's how we can pretty much navigate through the news of misinformation.
Yes. And then I think a lot of times people don't really understand the difference between misinformation and disinformation. And disinformation, again, it's just me. One of the stories, Christine Harvin, she just retired from the voter registration office. Thank you. I would have said board, but it's not the board. Voter registration, she was the director. Well, at the beginning of, around this time last year, at the beginning of the election cycle, I ran a story, but I had used an old transcript. I had used like an old video. It wasn't the most current meeting that they had. And so she just gently called me and she was like, yeah, I don't know where you got any of the information that is in this article, but all of it is wrong. And so it was, And so she just, and then because she has the voter registration, they had very clear directions, like misinformation. They really wanted to make sure that any information that went out about voting was clear and concise. And then I had written something probably about a meeting that had happened at least 6 months prior. And so this is why you check dates. and so that in itself, so that's misinformation because it's not intentional. I'm not trying to purposely feed you information that's going to be hurtful to somebody else, that's going to, change your mind about something. I mean, that's misinformation. Disinformation is more like spycraft or like a fascist government controlling the media and telling you just the one side of something. That is where they're purposely trying to control the narrative. So misinformation is more of a mistake, whereas disinformation is purposeful, it's intentional, and it's trying to herd sheep. Is basically what I would say disinformation is it's trying to, it has an agenda, whereas misinformation is more our bad.
Gotcha. This question for both of you guys. What do you guys wish that, the people would know more about your field?
That we are human. Sometimes we make mistakes. Mm-hmm. We do make them, we own them, we apologize, but we are human just like everyone else. Mm. It is tough reporting where you live. Mm. Because if we have to do a story on John Doe and, he gets into trouble or he does something bad and we have to report it, and then we have to see him at Piggly Wiggly or IGA or his mother sits next to us at church, or that gets very difficult, Yeah,
I think that's probably the hardest part of my job is reporting on the community while you're living in the community. It being a small, Clarendon County physically is a large county, but everybody knows each other in Clarendon County, and I am very thankful that I have been able to move here and been welcomed with open arms. My ex-husband, when we moved here, he was actually the store manager at Walmart. I have a huge Walmart family still. Like the Walmart associates have always been so lovely and everything. So it's really wonderful. Clarendon County has really accepted me, and we've really made a lot of connections, a lot of like sources and things of that information. Like I feel like I've made enough connections where people respect me enough to know that I'm just trying to do a job, and I don't have an agenda. I just want you, if people are coming to us wondering, about a Somerton water bill, about this piece of legislation, all I want to do is be that middleman and go to the mayor, go to the representative and just say, hey, these are the questions. And then just take those questions back to the public. I'm really not trying to spin anything. Again, I am human, and I will have my own biases, but I try really, really hard to just give people the facts, to really just try to lay it out
and let them make up their own mind.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yes, make up their own mind. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to drive the conversation.
And I think with me being in law enforcement, I kind of relate that with you guys, man. People don't realize that at the end of the day, we just doing our jobs.
Yes, absolutely.
It's nothing personal. You got a job to do. That's your guys' job. Report on the news. That's what you do, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
I'm sure if John Doe was doing something good, y'all would be happy.
Yes, we would. That too. Do something good for you. Very much so.
Yeah. If John Doe did X, Y, and Z, now you're in your feelings. Man, I'm just doing my job. You got to take the good with the bad sometimes,
That's right. Absolutely. That's definitely
so what's the goal for, what you guys goal for Manning Times in the future? What is the goal?
My goal is just to continue to be fair and honest when we report the news. Mm-hmm. I do love the feel-good stories, though, the features. We recently did a story on Coach Andy McLeod, who recently passed away, and interviewing him and sitting with the family and learn some life lessons. So we get to meet people that if we were not in this line of work, we wouldn't necessarily have gotten to meet. And so, made wonderful memories.
Yes.
Mr. He was 100 years old. What was his name?
Willie White.
Willie White. We love Mr. Willie
White. Okay.
100 not too long ago. Yeah. And so Melissa and I went and hung out with him, and that was so fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a blessing. I know he has some stories.
He did. He's a World War II vet. He's lived in Clarendon his whole life. He owned Mercury Cleaners down on.
He worked till he was like in his 90s.
Yeah. I feel like he's probably still.
Oh, wow.
He's a great guy.
Those kind of stories, like that's why I come to work. Is just that's
that and hang out with me.
Yes. The days I work from home, she's like, "Why are you here?"
Is that Brian's jersey behind you?
Yeah, I got it signed. Yep, Brian Doe. I mean, not Brian Doe, Brian Mance.
Yeah,
Mance. When he was, that's another good example. When he was inducted into the Hall of Fame,
South Carolina Hall of Fame.
Football.
South Carolina. Yeah.
Alex and I drove down there. And we're able to cover it. I believe it was in like Greenville or somewhere.
Yep.
Last year or year before last.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. If it's somebody in our community that's getting a statewide honor like that, like we'll go to Columbia, we'll go to Charleston. Like we
will drive to celebrate Clarendon.
Right. Yeah, we will know all about that. Like it's we're always trying to promote our community because that's good. That's why we do it. It's Manning Times. It's not, the state newspaper. And also we are strictly local news. We will occasionally throw in a state story if it's relevant to the county. I don't think I've ever covered national news except for the election. And even that was just Trump won while I'm talking about all the other local elections. So we never do national news. When you're picking up the Manning Times, this is truly your neighbors you're reading about. It's not, it's not,
how can we do you guys deliver the paper like old school way? Somebody drop it off at the house? How does that work? How does people get the nursepaper and how can they get off the internet if they don't have access to the newspaper?
If you want it the old fashioned way, you just call the office. 435-8422 and $30 a year in county, $40 a year out of county. And Alex will just take your name and your address, but it goes through the mail. The post office delivers it.
Okay, cool. How about online? How can they find the Manning Times on social media, online?
ManningLab.com. And
ManningLab.com
is online now at no cost too. So you can log on and read everything this young lady has written. It's about 18 stories this week.
Yep, and then
all right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard that, right? Manning Live, $30 a year in county, $40 a year out of county, man, to get it sent to the house. Old school paper.
That's right. That's right. And then our Facebook is just the Manning Times, and so updated several times a day. Yeah. And then we share we will share on the Facebook page, like if the Bookmobile is in Turbyville, if there's a meeting, the Clarendon County Administration does their agendas, things like that. We will always share that kind of information so the public is more aware of what's also happening. So the Facebook page, if other people are on social media, that's a great place to start. And then you can just click about and it'll take you to ManningLive.com.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, Melissa and Leanne, I appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Thank you.
Can't wait to do this again. Make sure you guys send me, the script for the commercial. And I'll talk to you guys later, all right?
Thank you. You have a good day. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for liking and subscribing. Make sure you share this show. Leanne and Melissa, the Manning Times. Peace.
Bye.
That was fun.